All right. Recently, there has been this social media crackdown, and people have been losing their accounts across various platforms like TikTok, X, and all the rest of them. So, what actually is this crackdown about? Who is in charge of it, and what actually is happening? What is going on? And how can you protect yourself from your account being taken down, and what actually are those things that are considered as offensive content according to the code of conduct that have been put out there by the Nigerian regulators. So we're going to look at that, and I hope at the end of this you should be able to know how to protect yourself online and know what is allowed and what is not allowed, and then you can take the debate from there. All right, here's what's going on regarding Nigeria's new social media code of practice and the massive takedown of millions of accounts. So let's start by asking what actually is the code of practice? What's this code of practice? So the code of practice that we're talking about is the one they call the code of practice for interactive computer service platforms and internet intermediaries. It's a regulatory framework which is issued jointly by three agencies in Nigeria, and these agencies are the National Information Technology Development Agency (NIDA), the Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC), and the National Broadcasting Commission (NBC). It mandates that major platforms operating in Nigeria like Google, Microsoft, Meta, TikTok, and X, and the rest of them, they must be registered locally. They must comply with Nigerian laws and tax rules, and they must aggressively moderate harmful or offensive content, misinformation, hate speech, and other violations as defined by the Nigerian regulators. Yeah. And also, the platforms are required to act swiftly, such as taking down non-consensual or offensive content within 24 hours of notice. Okay, so what happens when these platforms comply to these regulations? Like we have seen in the recently released compliance report of 2024, which was submitted by Google, Microsoft, TikTok, and others. The following actions were recorded: about 58,909,112 pieces of offensive or harmful content were removed, and 13,597,057 social media accounts were shut down or deactivated for violating the code. Also, at the same period, we had about 754,629 registered users who complained, out of which 420,439 pieces of content were restored after a successful appeal. So NIDA described this as a major step towards creating a safer and more trustworthy digital environment in Nigeria, while others are acknowledging the continued need for collaborations across stakeholders. Now, this code that we're talking about, why do we think it matters? Why at this time, and why does this matter? Why does this matter? This enforcement sends a signal. First of all, it sends a signal that content moderation must meet Nigerian regulatory standards. That's the first thing. First signal it sends. And then platforms must respond quickly and register locally and maintain accountability. Secondly, it matters in the sense that lawmakers and regulators are trying to balance safety and digital freedom. So this is a debate Nigerians have been grappling with for years. Most notably since the attempt to pass the anti-social media bill in 2019, which faced mature opposition for its potential suppression of free speech. All right, let's now look at what actually, when we say offensive content, what actually does this social media code of ethics say about what can be categorized as offensive content? They are as follows. Number one, misinformation and fake news. So under this, they are talking about false or misleading information capable of causing panic, public unrest, or damaging reputations. So that is considered as misinformation or fake news. Examples can be fake election results, you see, false health advisories, and manipulated videos. All right, so that's number one. Then number two is hate speech and incitement, and this under this you're looking at contents that promote ethnic, religious, or political hatred. Okay, I know with this someone may be saying, oh, we know one like the content by one of the government officials that was referred specifically to Igbos in Lagos, how they will be dealt with next time when they don't vote in a particular way. Okay, so such content can be a form of hate speech. And then of course posts that are encouraging violence against specific groups can also be hate speech. When you say, oh, for instance, that if Igbos don't vote for a particular decision, that they will all be thrown into the lagoon or things like that, or they will chased out of a place. That is what this category of offensive content is talking about. Okay, so then number three, there's the defamation and harassments. We have false statements damaging an individual's or organization's reputation, and then of course cyberbullying, which is targeted harassments against people and threats. Number four, terrorism and extreme content. Yeah, you have terrorism and extreme content. That's another important part of the proposed of the code as proposed in the code, and this will include propaganda supporting terrorist groups, and the recruitment either of materials or glorification of terrorism. Okay, you recruit materials, when you get recruitment materials, you use social media as a recruitment material, or you're using it to glorify terrorism. You have people who are glorifying how they have killed some people and then they are rejoicing over it and things like that. Okay, then number five, the fifth part of this code is that of that speaking out against pornography and sexual exploitation. So explicit sexual content, child sexual abuse materials, CSAM, revenge porn, or non-consensual intimate images. Number six, we have fraud and scam content, like advanced fee fraud, phishing, personalization, or other financial scams. Then we have number seven, self-harm and suicide promotion, contents that encourage self-injury, suicide challenges, or glorifying such acts in any way. Then number eight, we have illegal products and services. So this would speak to sales or promotion of banned drugs, arms, or human trafficking. All right. Okay, so those are the 8 categories right there. Let me just do a rundown of them again so that you can get them in one piece. So there's misinformation and fake news. There's hate speech and incitement. There's defamation and harassment. There's terrorism and extreme content. There's pornography and sexual exploitation. There's fraud and scam content. There's self-harm and suicide promotion. There's illegal products and services. All right. So, what about enforcement? So, how is enforcement done when pages are found to have gone against these rules? What are the enforcement highlights like? Well, platforms are required to remove flagged content within 24 hours of notice from regulators or law enforcement. So once they are notified, within 24 hours, they will remove those contents. In complex cases like appeal or gray areas, they may have up to 72 hours to remove those contents. And failure to comply can lead to fines, service restriction, or even being blocked in Nigeria. So that's for the platforms. All right. So the urgency of these platforms to remove this also sparks a debate, and then the debate is coming from critics who argue that the definition of offensive content is so too broad, and it could be abused or used to silence political dissent or legitimate criticism of government officials. So whenever government officials are criticized, it's likely that it may be that's because it's so broad. It's not very specific. Particularly when we say offensive content, what do you mean by offensive content? No, I have given you a rundown of about 8 areas that are specific, but even within these eight areas, you find out that it depends on who is actually going to sitting behind the desk at the regulator's office that will determine if so content or that content is offensive or not. So, what supporters of this code say that it's necessary to protect citizens from fraud, hate speech, and harmful misinformation. So we hope that it will actually do the work that is intended to do. Okay. All right. This is the bit I have for you here on this one. Probably I'll do a follow-up to this later. So do like, subscribe, follow our page, and hit the notification button so that when we do the follow-ups, you can also be notified so that you don't miss anything. Thank you for listening to this one. I'll see you next time.